Joe Biden is considering making it mandatory for federal workers to have the COVID-19 vaccine. America has a high level of people refusing to take the COVID vaccine in some states and is recording that most of those now dying from the virus are not vaccinated. I'm joined by our New York correspondent, William Denselow. Hello, Will. Thank you very much for joining us. So tell us exactly what Joe Biden is considering. Can he force vaccination?
Well, the message coming from the Biden administration is that it seems that the president will go forward with requiring federal workers. Let's consider that accounts for nearly 4 million people in the United States, but the military won't be included, so that number will be substantially less, but will essentially be going forward and saying that people that work for the federal government will either have to show proof of a vaccination or face regular COVID-19 testing. Now, whether people can or cannot, the US Justice Department seem confident that this is a plan that could indeed go forward, but this is certainly seen as an incredibly politically charged issue that is expected, if it is to go forward, will be met with a huge degree of trepidation, a huge degree of concern. In New York, where New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo just today has come out announcing that as of Labor Day, September 6th, a federal holiday here in the US, they will be requiring state employees to be needing to get vaccinated or show proof of a negative COVID test on a weekly basis going forward from September. They say that they've been working in unison with labour unions here in the state of New York and are confident that this can be done in a fair way. But certainly a strong message from both the federal government and at the local level, including here in New York, that they want to see that vaccination rate increase incredibly quickly now.
What about the role of businesses? Here in South Africa, we're having a big debate, and it seems that our government is saying no one is going to be forced to take the vaccine, but it's up to each individual business to decide to look at the risks, to communicate the risks to their workers, and then if they feel that they have no option, if they have to put in a forced vaccination plan, they're allowed to do that. Is it the similar sort of situation in the USA?
It's certainly a message that businesses are grappling with, and what we're seeing is very few businesses say that they are mandating individuals to get a COVID-19 vaccine before returning to work. Obviously, it does run the gamut when it comes to the policies that some are taking. Of course, many businesses still choosing to have their employees work from home as much as possible. But certainly here in the state of New York, for example, people do have a vaccine passport that the state has rolled out. Very few businesses are asking people that come into their stores to require any kind of proof of vaccination status going forward. That is a huge frustration going forward. And what we're seeing, especially in the United States, at the moment is we're seeing more states take a very strong stance when it comes to healthcare workers. Here in New York City, the city's Mayor Bill de Blasio recently stating that healthcare workers that work for state-run facilities will be required to show proof of vaccine or have weekly testing. We've now heard from New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo going one step forward, saying that any patient facing a hospital worker in state-run facilities must get a COVID-19 vaccine and that means that they will not have the option of just having a negative COVID test. So especially in healthcare, we're seeing more steps being taken to ensure people get a COVID-19 vaccine.
What are the rules around travel? This is interesting. I was speaking to Chris Jones in London a little earlier, and from Monday, England is going to allow people on the amber list, that's people from America and parts of Europe, to come in without having to quarantine if they've been double jabbed. Are the rules changing in the USA, or is it still unclear?
Well, the message from the US is that no changes are being made as things stand. We've heard recently over the last few weeks from the White House, from the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention here in the US, that essentially say that travellers coming from places like Europe and the United Kingdom will still be subject to quarantine, and there's still those same very strict protocols that remain in place regardless of what countries like the United Kingdom are doing. Interestingly, when it comes to travel across the United States. Some states, very few, have taken strong precautions. If you try to travel, for example, from New York to Hawaii, say, to go to the state of Hawaii, you require proof of a vaccination or a negative COVID-19 test in the couple of days before you travel. Otherwise, you will not be allowed onto the island state. But on the mainland of the United States, those types of restrictions are simply not required.
Yeah, and I think it's something that the countries of the world and the businesses of the world are grappling with, your rights to not get vaccinated if you choose not to versus the right to keep your workspace safe by having as many people vaccinated as possible. It's a very interesting debate indeed. Thank you very much. Will Denselow coming to us live from New York.